Alright, hello everybody. We are very sorry for all those technical difficulties that we have happened here before, and we're not going to be back like for our commentary in here, but again, we apologize. We had some technical difficulties that we had, so we missed quite a lot of action here. We're still going to be live here for another 30 minutes with our competitors still in a very close fight so far with our cars. We unfortunately still missed quite a lot of interesting action. We actually do believe we missed our front runners, both Happy and Plasma actually has disconnected from the race entirely. Not quite sure what happened to them, so we're going to have to perhaps see another replay later on in the race to see what exactly happened with them. But it's not going to be Dipping Sauce inheriting the lead of the race overall here, but I do believe that's going to be with our pit stops in mind. It's going to be Grimblith actually holding on a provisional lead of the race so far.
Yeah, but it seems like we're still got some trash repaired out right now. If you are able to, could you send me the link so I could share it to people?
Yeah, I do believe we're not going to be in a totally new stream here, so we have to share a new link to everybody here. We do apologize for the issues, but that's just what happens with technology. Sometimes we are having a bit of technical difficulties with our commentary, but I do believe now that we are live, I'll just see if I can find a new link for everybody else to run here if we are still indeed live.
Yeah, I
thought I had everything here. It's looking so far. We are live somewhere. See if I can just find the link. Actually, I do believe the issue is that it's actually listed as unlisted. I thought I said it to be public.
Hey, that would work.
Done.
And if that's the case, I'm able to share
I'm gonna go just quickly share the link, everybody, to see if this is the new one. Okay, if I now refresh this, I do believe we are not going to be live in the proper section of the track here. Yes, we are indeed. Everything is now back in live condition, and we're going to be hopefully getting everybody else back on board here to see what has actually happened in the race here. So if you wouldn't mind talking over while I try to get things fixed in the background.
Alright, I'm going to be focusing on this instead. At the background, as we see Kathy, actually no, Azure getting followed by Grimblith. Both fighting really hard as we see Azure now back into the podium spots. That's been a very big toss-up in the pit stops apparently. As you see randomly as well getting another stop for 30 penalty. It seems like according to reports, someone has accidentally taken out the pit board marker, and I think a lot of people are getting caught off guard by the fact that there is no pit stop pit board and P-entry board, and that has definitely caught some drivers causing a few penalties. But that's the thing about racing. You gotta make sure where the pit stop.
Indeed we have, and now actually going to be seeing quite some interesting running happening from Dipping Sauce and Swingy. I think our timing board's having a bit of issue here, not showing who has actually done their pit stop so far, because if I am correct, Azure Code should have done their pit so far, but in our timing board they have not done their pit so far. But we're going to have to see if they're going to have to do another pit stop within the next couple minutes here. But again, it's looking like Kathy and Grimblith are still in their own fight, with the unfortunate retirement of Plasma now giving the potential pro victory to any three of our cars here in the top three, with Azure Gold, Kathy, or Grimblith, with Grimblith and Kathy still fighting hard to see who can get the lead so far. But it looks like Kathy seems to have done a very good easy pass on the Ferrari 296 so far. Now there's going to be down to them to charge on Azure Gold ahead and get that provisional lead of the race. As we are also seeing a bit more pit stops happening from Randomly and Ticostito. It was Ticostito who unfortunately had that stop code 30 penalty, going a bit too fast into the entry of the pit lane here. We're also going to be seeing Luna catching up into the back of their partner Wushu, again with a pretty familiar sight here from the two competitors here for the second time in a row. It's looking like Lunatic has been able to get a lot more out of that McLaren 720S than they were able to get from the Porsche of the past, but with Lunatic now chasing down the Shark car ahead, that's going to be giving the Bluey car of Newt the opportunity to also get back up into the top 10 fight, the top 8 fight here, to hopefully get some more points here.
Yeah, that is and sorry about that. I have returned. It seems like we both have network issues. I had a very big scare just now, as we unfortunately missed a lot of the action during the pit stop. It's insanity that is here in Misano.
Yes, indeed, it's a bit unfortunate, but again, as we have said many times before here, that's just what happens with racing sometimes. Sometimes your technology fails, sometimes you just don't get the run that you want. Yes, we're going to be seeing a bit of a peek coming up from Dude on to the entry of turn 7 here, with Luna probably needed to do a bit of an invasive action to avoid having an incident with the big Mercedes AMG car behind them, but well done from both of them to keep their cars in one piece so far. But Nude seems to be very eager indeed to get past the silver competitor car and get up into to challenge the Porsche of Wushel for the top 7.
Yeah, definitely a very big fight for Lunatic. Even though they are pretty strong right now in the silver podium, they do actually have played two positions behind them, and I think Mute will definitely want to get their position in PA right now. But that will mean that there will be no buffer between their Lunatic's competitor in silver. So I think Lunatic will have the best interest to be, maybe try to get in front of Wushel in the Porsche, but definitely want to hold out as much as possible, as long as possible in this race.
Yes, indeed, we're seeing them with the final part of our pit window now closing. I do believe everybody from this current group has done their pits so far. Yes, I do believe that actually Wushel, Luna, and Newt have all done their pits so far. So it's all just going to be down to see who can get the best ones here into the final half of our race here so far. We're also seeing a bit of a fight happening with Electroshock and Sevi at the back of the grid as well here, with Sevi able to get the overtake done on Electroshock after they had an unfortunate mistake towards turn 13. Actually, we're going to be seeing them diving out of the way of Vex, I do believe, the actual front runner in our AMP classification fight so far. So quite a dominant result from the Bluey 2922 car so far to be able to lap the rest of the AMP class here.
Yeah, I think Bluey has shown to be their drivers shown to have been very strong in pace, and they definitely have shown with the cars that they have been able to drive here in Misano. But speaking of which, Sefi right now P23 getting chased down by the Bluey car right behind them. I think it will be really good for them to let them by. But I think right now it seems like they're pretty far in Juan V in P22, pretty far ahead of them. So definitely not much to gain, not much to lose. Right now for them it's just making sure they keep their head down, making sure they stay consistent for the remaining 22 minutes of the race.
Yes, indeed. And at the front of Fukaka, we have Dipping Sauce finally entering into the pit. So that's going to be Azure Goat inheriting the lead of the entire race here so far, with Kathy and Grim Lilith still both very close behind them, hoping to capitalize on any mistakes that Azure Goat might make them. But now with nobody else to interfere with their racing war, with them running in cleaner, it's not going to be all down to Azure Goat keeping their head cool and perhaps avoiding those mistakes they had earlier in the race so far to even in that fight so far. With actually it's going to be now Kathy still getting closer. It's going to be down to see if Azure can just keep their car in the absolute right spot to hold off that advance from Kathy. So if Plasma can do it, then perhaps Azure can do the similar kind of defense.
Yeah, definitely Kathy trying to pressure Azure as much as he can, but Azure is pretty prone to mistakes under pressure, as you see here, running out wide side by side with the two of them coming down into turn 13 and 14. Kathy a bit too wide there, but they might have a move next time around. Grim Lilith right behind them, capitalizing on the move if they see fit. But all drivers here pretty strong, pretty consistent. As you see, Luna maybe going on the same move again on Wushel right down into turn 13. Will they be able to make it work onto turn 14? No, and Luna thinks better of it. Pulls out just before turn 14. Just so that they don't have a very big incident. There's still 20 minutes into this race, so they want to make sure that they have very consistent, very good laps here, just so they don't fall back from Newt right behind them. Actually, you see Caps right here in the yellow flags in the wall. Oh shit, unfortunate. Into the grass. Sorry for the language, but we have to see what has happened here. As we see coming down. Oh, just lost it down into turn 6, I think. Yeah, that is a very dangerous place to lose control here. Unfortunately, really unforgiving here as the barriers just merged right into there, and very hard to rejoin as they are right on the apex of the exit.
Yeah, an unfortunate mistake from the number 9 BMW M4 here, but hopefully they can get back up into running and get back onto the fight. But we're gonna have to return to them later because currently at the front of the pack here we have Caffey and Grimlith, almost both really close to each other. Now going back in on the back straight of turn 13 and 14 here with Caffey again getting really close into the rear bumper of Azure Goat's McLaren ahead, but again not enough space there to have a move made here with Azure Goat just spraying the wings on that McLaren, so that's really wide to prevent any charges from Caffey behind them. It's going to be pressure mounted because now it's going to be pit window is closed. All of our drivers have now completed their pit stop cycles. Now it's going to be all down to who can just get their cars extracted the most pace out of to get those moves done here. It's going to be a bit of a mistake from Caffey that compromised their exit into turn 15 and 16. That gives Grimlith now the ability to have another peek up onto the rear bumper of Caffey behind them, now going through turn 3 and towards turn 4 here. Nobody having a bit of a peak so far. Everybody just holding on drunk here. It's not a common overtaking spot around this sector here, but we can see just how close that Ferrari 296, just how compliant it is through these tight corners, so giving them the best possible exit. But it's going to be again Grimlith to get the best possible exit out of the trio here. Now again getting even closer to the McLaren ahead, actually with a bit of tiny peak into the inside line into turn 7, but it's not going to be quite enough again here now with the mid-range stability of the McLaren able to just get the better exit off in towards turn 9 and towards turn 10. It's going to be now the best opportunity for Caff to call it in close if he can just get that best possible exit towards the back straight. Now it's going to be all down to just using that slipstream, using the mid-range power of the BMW M4 to hopefully have another look into the turn 14 braking zone.
Yeah, speaking of fighting, actually, outside of these two fighting, we actually have more fighting at the grid, but right now focusing on Caffey right now side by side. I think next to Azure, can they make it on this inside? Yes, they could. They basically pressured Azure into making a small mistake, and Azure will not be happy about that. Coming into first place into turn 15, I think Caffey might have secured the podium position right now. It's all up to Azure to see if they can be able to answer that with the slipstream that they can get from the BMW. But I got a feeling that Caffey might just walk away with this.
It seems to be a very common case that Caffey seems to have the most pace of all of these drivers so far. So now that they have finally been able to pressure Azure Goat into making that mistake towards turn 14, now that's going to be all down to Caffey just put their foot to the floor and just drive away from the McLaren and the Ferrari 296 behind them. But it's going to be again Azure almost collecting the rear of that BMW M4 going towards turn 4 here with just barely going into it again. So Azure Goat is definitely not making it easy to give Caffey the opportunity to get away from the fight here. He's definitely extracting everything out of that McLaren to still stay in that fight.
Yeah, but I think Azure has not noticed this, but the dives that they do here might compromise the exits, and that's where Caffey has been gaining ground here. As you see, the BMW spreading its wings, and I think Azure might really want to rethink their approach in terms of making corners here, just so that they might have a better run, as well as just make sure that they have good padding and good exit, just so that Grimlith behind MP3 will not be able to secure the second podium spot and push Azure even further down the podium.
Yes, indeed. And now it seems like now that Caffey is able to get into clean air here, he's already gained a whole second gap into Azure Goat behind them, and now with a bit of lap traffic ahead, that might slow them down a little bit here. But that's also going to be slowing down Azure Goat and Grimlith as well. So there's going to be even more fighting happening behind them. I do believe that's also going to be the car. Is that the car of Cerebrin behind them? No, that isn't. No, actually, I'm mistaken. That was indeed the car of. Yeah, that's indeed the car of Cerebrin in the background as well. 3.5 seconds of drift. So if there's going to be any more fighting happening between Azure and Grimlith, that's going to give the Bluey 296 the opportunity to also join this top 4 fight here and also be in the contention for a potential race win now that Plasma is out of the picture.
Yeah, even though Cerebrin might be a bit too far, they might have a better seat of the overall picture, and if the three of them in front have a big tangle anywhere, I think Cerebrin is going to be the first to say thank you very much. I'm going to grab a position as fast as I can here, and yeah, being in the prime spot is definitely important. And they are definitely hoping that the cars in front fight just so they could get at least as close as they could to the front.
And we're also seeing a lot more fighting happening between the cars of Zephyr, Followmate, and Vossi, now both in their current laps, heading down on the exit of turn 10 and 11 here now, with the car of Followmate getting close into the bumper of Zephyr here, but it's going to be Vossi even closer to the rear bumper of of Falomate here, both just trying to hopefully get that run up into turn 40 here, but nobody is actually close enough to make an overtake so far. But it seems like Falomate has been holding that car closer and closer. We also see Bossy diving deep into turn 14 here, getting even closer still to that M-Class Lamborghini here. Bossy unfortunately had that incident earlier on in the race where they lost a lot of position, so this race has been a very big recovery drive for them so far, but it's looking like Bossy is definitely extracting everything out of that Porsche to hopefully get back up closer towards the top 10 and gain those crucial points, perhaps not in the silver class fight, but in the overall fight to stay within the contention there.
And yeah, definitely a very big train here fighting for positions, as we see. Actually fighting for the last podium spot on the M class, and really, I think Bossy does not want to be part of this fight, but they have to contend just to get positions. As we see, Falomate trying to get on the inside, but having a bad run, and Bossy just trying to get past them as soon as possible, just to not be in this mess, so that they could get their head on and sprint for their overall positions down in the remaining 30 minutes. As we see, Falomate might get ahead of Zephyr right here, as they do, finally securing it, coming down into the hairpin, but Zephyr breaking hard late. But will they be able to do the switchback? No, they cannot, but still holding on the outside on turn 10, down into the back straight. Falomate might have a compromised exit and might affect their top line speed coming down into the back straight, as they do, coming down into turn 11, turn 12, both side by side. Very strong here. Who will be the bravest one to just break enough? And Falomate going out wide here, sliding it into turn 14. Will Zephyr take advantage of it? No, they cannot. But as you can see here, the front of the grid here, podium, Cafe trying to get past them as soon as possible, just so that they could get out of this mess as soon as possible. Will Zephyr let them by? I think they will, but they want to minimize their time loss as much as possible. But unfortunately, that is their fight here, temporarily neutralized until they can able to fight back as the podium, the first three fighters get past them later on.
Yes, indeed. That's going to be the unfortunate situation for the lap cars and the lapping cars, with both of them in a very close fight for positions here. So nobody's really that eager to give up their position and compromise their lines and giving the opportunity for other competitors to get around. As we're going to be seeing a bit of a fight happening between Grimlith and Azure Gold, both going side by side on the exit of turn 6 here, with a bit of a contact happening between. That's going to be them both on the cracks here, clipping the rear bumpers on both their cars here, compromising the line for Grimlith, now losing a little bit of time there. That's not going to be making Grimlith happy at all. Now it's going to be Zephyr again caught up in the fight between all of them, again having to force to dive out of the way here. But with that big fight happening between Grimlith, a very opportunistic sent into turn 6 here, with Azure Gold just rudely shutting the door on the main straight there, just compromising their line, losing a lot of time. That's going to be Cappy 1.5 seconds adrift ahead of them. Now probably just going to be escaping away into the front here if they're going to be fighting even more than this.
Yeah, I think Grimlith will not be happy with how much they squeeze. All the time you have to leave a space, and unfortunately for them, luckily for Azure, they are able to get out of that unharmed. But if there was any issues, that Azure might have definitely been in the worst UCT because they do right now into the grass. I'm not sure what has happened there. Oh, a very small spin, I assume. Unfortunately, as they panic to get back on the grid, they really need to be careful to not be in the way of other people, and luckily for them, they are able to get out of the way as much as they could. As we see Falomate into the barrier, I don't know, I'm not sure what happened, but we are definitely seeing things happening on the grid as the time ticks away into the hairpin. Might have they lost some traction coming up? Yes, they do, into their heads in. All right, might have been they might have. I'm not sure what has happened.
It seems to have been like a kind of a double-pronged incident, because I do believe there was also the car of Tigustino Lee in that fight there that actually kind of was the catalyst for a very unfortunate spin where that caused Falomate to have evasive action, and by the time they were back on the track there, they actually lost a lot of time and were forced to be on the outside on the grass to avoid these leading cars ahead of the pack here to not cause an incident with them, and unfortunately that caused them to lose their car and lose so many positions. Now Zephyr and Cooper both getting past the car number 5 of the Lamborghini here, who was actually in second place in the pole in the qualifying battle here, with quite an unfortunate spin happening from them. So that's not going to be Zephyr able to keep their top 3 position here so far. That's going to be them chasing down perhaps Swingley and Vex, who are actually on an entirely different lap there, if I do believe. Actually, it's kind of going to be, it's quite interesting. It's going to be now Vex just completely off the map here compared to their competitor Swingley, who I'm gonna have a bit of a look to see where they are. They are actually all the way down here, currently being lapped by the leading cars here and the other cars in the mid pack of the fight here. So it seems like Vex is just in an entirely different country, chasing down for that AM lead here, with nobody else able to answer the kind of pace they have.
Yeah, as you see, contact
between Swingley and going to be the car of Grimlith. They're both just unfortunately hitting major damage. Now Grimlith is not going to be happy about that contact for sure. Now getting even more damage, making it even harder for them to get back up into the fight for Azure Gold here. So again, unfortunate lap traffic incidents just making this fight even harder for the controller Grimlith here to get back up into the top 2 fight here.
Yeah, definitely a very unfortunate mistake there by Swingley, but you know, I think Grimlith might not have had much damage on the side, but definitely damages compound over time and definitely would not be a good thing, as you know, we don't have much time, like 10 minutes into this race, and Grim will definitely want to have as minimal incidents as possible just so they could just focus on chasing the Azure as much as they could. But unfortunately, the traffic just does not want to cooperate here. As you see, Electroshock here might want to make a move on Safi here for P23. You know, really close to them. Both actually be fighting really strongly. As we see, Safi breaking really early. Electroshock to make evasive maneuvers and unfortunately gets collected by Safi. Both very unfortunate incidents as you see getting caught here, and I think that's just basically a little bit unfortunate, but Safi here getting passed by Caffey right now. I'm not sure what to make about that, but I think the stewards are going to have a hard long look at that for post-race.
Yeah, that looks like to be a bit of an opportunistic send from Electroshock into the exit of turn 13 and 14. It's not a really easy overtaking zone to be having here, and unfortunately, Electroshock just misjudged their braking point and cost. And they had a good idea on driving on the inside to avoid having an incident with Sevi, but unfortunately, they still ended up collecting the front of Sevi's car in that whole fight. Now they're going to be Sevi caught up in more lap traffic around with Azure Goat and Grimlith. Now both caught up now together in their own fight as well, with Sevi just desperately trying to find any spot around the track here to let the leading 2 cars ahead of them by, but that's going to be Grimlith again caught up into the back of Azure Goat, and now going towards turn 6 here, again hoping to minimize the damage gained from those unfortunate incidents from the lap traffic cars. Are still off that fight ahead, but all of this fighting has given Cavi the opportunity to just escape away into the front, saying thank you very much, I'll have my win after two races of fighting. Now 3.4 seconds ahead from everybody else here, hoping just cruising away into the front.
Yeah, all this fighting has definitely caused Caffey to just cruise on by. And I think that has been the theme here, is that Caffey actually only had one competitor, and that's Plasma. And unfortunately, Plasma out the race right now. Caffey, as long as they were able to get past Azure, basically are on their own. And with how strongly Grim is trying to get past Azure, both fighting through traffic has definitely compromised their run to get P2. And unfortunately, they can only settle for P2 right now. As you see enter Midnight sliding their BMW into the exits of turn 6. I think some of the drivers are also having issues with grip with how slidey their cars are, but we have to see how long they can survive. 6 minutes remaining to this race, and I think we all have to make sure the race doesn't end here. As we see, shoot, Randomie running into the back of Phalomite. What has happened there? And what has happened to Randomie to not see that happen?
We're going to see on the replay. I do believe there was another bit of yellow flag incidents happening between Phalomate. I do believe there's going to be another BMW ahead of a fellow competitor. So we're going to have to see on the replay what exactly happened. But I do believe there may have been something unfortunate happening into the entry of turn 13 here. But again, Phalomate probably just sending it a bit too fast and unfortunately hitting the rear bumper of the 272 BMW ahead, and now while they're just slowing down, it's going to be randomly just running right into the back of the Lamborghini ahead and just sent spinning again. So quite a strange incident to see Randomly now unfortunately in the pits, but quite strange for Randomly to not react to that anything at all and just hitting the Lamborghini straight on. Yeah,
that is definitely weird, and I think it's just unfortunate. I think the speed difference might have been a bit too much, and I think also we have to remember that some drivers here might have a very narrow FOV, and unfortunately just out of view until it was too little too late, and I think they will not be happy with the small incident they had. But it is what it is. It's pro racing. I think we have to review it closely to figure out what has happened and reflect on that. Coming to P3, Grimlith having a small gap on the Azure, but still clawing as much as they can. 5 minutes remaining to this race. I think if Grim wants to get a move on, it has to be done within the next couple of laps, or else the window of opportunity might just go away. Unfortunately for them, they do not have any much more laps traffic in front of them, and that's not going to help Grim at all in terms of catching up. But it'll be beneficial for Azure because there won't be any more things to hold up in front of them, and that will really give Azure a little bit of stress relief for the time moment.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see about that because Grim Lilith is still staying very much into the rear bumper of the McLaren 720S ahead of them. Still, despite all the incidents they have been experiencing throughout the race here, not giving up a inch, not a single meter to give up on that fight towards P2 fight. But it's gonna be very, very interesting to see if there's gonna be any post-race penalties changing our results here, with quite a bit of rubbing happening between our competitors. Actually, we're gonna be seeing actually a drive-through penalty for dipping sauce down in P2, so an unfortunate run from our pro competitor so far. So again, we're seeing a bit more drive-thrus happening, and quite surprising, not as many as we would have expected. We've only seen 2 so far. One from Dipping Sauce and another one, I do believe that was from Falomate, who has unfortunately retired from the racing so far. But we are going to be seeing a lot of that AM classification racing where, like, with Falomate able to get into the 2nd place in qualifying, they were not able to convert that into a race win or even a podium finish because they have unfortunately now been out of the race here. So we can see, like, especially in the AM class, it's more about your consistency and being able to keep yourself out of trouble rather than having your ultimate pace in the car.
Yeah, definitely. I think that has been repeated time and time again. Consistency is king. No matter how fast you do in a lap, if you aren't able to keep on track for the next hour, it doesn't matter because the race ends when the timer stops. It doesn't end at the fastest time gained. So it's definitely something that drivers need to learn. And I think the only time to learn is through track time, and where else to do it than the most chaotic track we have league that we have here. And that's only because of the amount of drivers that we have here, and it's always been fun to have the amount of stress that we get from driving here.
Absolutely, indeed. And further down the grid, we see Huanvi still on their own chart up into the top 20 here. Now chasing down Wolfing Foxtail for P19 in the overall classification here. We're going to have to return the break. So we're going to be seeing another fight happening between Zephyr, Sefi, and Electroshock. It's going to be now Sefi and Zephyr having contact between the 2 cars here. That's sending Zephyr off into the distance, but Zephyr's actually going to be a car lapping the 2 competitors around here. So it's going to be Zephyr again trying to get around these 2 Ferraris here. Now with the Electroshock hoping to doing a bit of these speeds flashing from the cars ahead of them, but it's going to be again more unfortunate fighting. That's probably giving the opportunity for Electroshock to have another look into the rear bumper of Sevi, almost again hitting their rear quarter panel. So a lot of incidents in contact happening between these AM classification drivers here. You're just really trying to push everything out of their cars to get them overtakes done, with Sevi just desperately trying to hold off the charge here from Electroshock. And it seems like Electroshock now got the bit of run on the inside of turn 10 here. Now them just almost going side by side into the long back straight of turn 12, 13, and 14. That with then backing out a little bit, lifting off their car to give Sevi the space to get the run up into turn 13 here, with now Electroshock looking a bit more smart now into the turn 14 braking zone here. But again, getting really close onto the bumper of Sevi here. Sevi absolutely being a big block in the into the front bumper of Electroshock here, just holding them off from their charge.
Yeah, I think also Zephy is just struggling to maintain the car on track, maybe because of they may having issues on their control side. But as you can see, Zephy diving on the inside. That is a very ambitious move by Zephy here, trying to defend from Electroshock. It is very unconventional, but they did get the move done, and Electroshock needs to get it done within the next minute, or else they will be stuck in P23, I'm sorry, as we see coming now into the final lap, as both of them fighting side by side here. Very interesting ways of fighting these 2.
Yes, indeed. We're seeing quite some unusual fighting happening from these 2 AM class fighters here. We saw Sevi with a very unusual dive on the inside of turn 1, holding off their charge from Electroshock, with the Electroshock also having another dive into turn 4 there, but unfortunately losing the rear of the car, not able to get the exit they would have wanted to get past Sevi here. So it's going to be really interesting to see between these 2 cars here who is going to be the one leading the fight at the end of the round here, with again Falomate, actually no, apologies, Electroshock now on the inside. It's going to be contact between Sevi and Falomate, Falomate. Electroshock again sending Electroshock spinning into the grass here, again misjudging the outside line of the Ferrari 296 ahead, and now caught up all the way down and giving the other cars ahead of them to pass, just slide past them. So again, it's all about the consistency. Keep yourself out of trouble, and unfortunately Electroshock paid the price for it.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. As you see cars just trying to pass here. Just some cars having damage, and you just see the remaining few seconds of the race remaining here. As you know, Grim still fighting strong against Azure, but unfortunately, I think as the time ticks to 0, they are just unable to get the move done. But as you see them still, have more than half a lap remaining on their time here in the lap. We might see a small mistake by Azure, maybe. But if they're able to keep it clean, they might be able to make sure they might be able to secure P2 here with a very solid run here from P2, from P3 down to P7 and now strongly into P2. Definitely a very strong run by Azure this time around.
Yes, definitely. With now officially the final lap of the race going with Cathy in a very dominant lead so far. It's all going to be down to Grimlith to see if they can get the ultimate run here on the back straight, to see if they can get close enough into the rear bumper of Azure to get that run. But that seems to be a little bit too late. They are just half a second adrift going up towards turn 40 here. So this is going to be a massive mistake from Azure into the turn 14, turn 15, 6 here. It's not going to be enough for them to back up with it. But I'm going to have to come back to later. It's not going to be Cathy going into the final corner towards turn 15, now towards turn 16 with a very chaotic run. They lost the lead early on in the race here. They were caught behind Plasma later on in the race, but now with Plasma retired, it's going to be Cathy securing a well-deserved win in the overall classification, with now Azure Goat coming up right behind them, able to hold off that charge from Grimlith, securing the P2 position with Grimlith now rounding out the top 3. So very well done from them all. We still could have seen some more fighting happening from the rest of the cars here. We see Samak now also crossing the finish line in P5 with Wushu quite a ways behind, all the ways down. Almost 20 seconds from the Aston Martin V8 car ahead. We saw them getting quite close to Lunatic at one point, but it seems like Wushu was able to extract a bit more out of that Porsche. Was the final few minutes of this race here, and able to get a very strong P6, finishing without Lunatic winning the silver class fight in P7 overall and winner in the silver classification fight here. So well done from them. Going to be seen also Newbie finishing behind them in P8 with Bladewolf crossing the line at P9 and Oraz Volbes a little ways behind further in a P10. We also see an unfortunate drive-through on the very last lap from N underscore. That's going to be too late. That's not going to be enough for them to actually clear up that drive-through. So that's going to be then losing even more time as they go crawling over the finish line. They're going to be getting a massive penalty on the track here, losing so many positions, but that should be now going to be giving the opportunity for Vex to get even more position going over the finish line with M underscore hit with a 30-second time penalty, able to get up into P11 overall with penalties applied. A very strong dominant run from our Louis Ferrari driver here, now crossing the finish line in P12. So well done from them to get that run here, but with now got to be Dipping Sauce crossing the finish line in P13, and quite a chaotic race so far with very much like action happening all the ways down the field.
Yeah, and after penalties have been applied for underscore, they are right now in P13 after the penalties have applied. Unfortunate events for underscore, but as we see here, track limits, even though you are pretty careful, they only give you 3 warnings here, and any more they give you a drive through. And when you have an unfortunate drive through at the wrong time, definitely gonna be very painful to watch here. But yeah, congrats to all the drivers here that have won their classes. Congrats to Cathy, to Lunatic, as well as to Vex. All very good drives this time around, you must say.
Absolutely, indeed. We again apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced midway through our broadcast here, but we're going to be promising to have not as many issues later on in the next week's race, which is going to be in a wet, rainy Donington Park. So you absolutely do not want to be missing that. But from everybody here, we hope you all enjoy the broadcast anyway. We hope you all enjoy the commentary we had to provide here. And I just want to be saying a big thank you to everybody here from our commentary team and Simufur for watching this race here. And any closing thoughts from Newbie from this race?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. Unfortunate turns of events, but I think we managed it well, and as well as the team, the drivers managed well. It was a very chaotic last 15 minutes, but I think that's what we're all here for. Very good racing, very chaotic racing, but very good show for us all, and it's been fun.
Absolutely, indeed. We're going to be looking forward to even more fun commentary to be happening next week in Donington Park. But for now, we're going to be saying everybody here in the broadcast and here from the commentary box a very lovely good night. Thank you everybody again for joining us here on this very exciting broadcast of the GT3 season in Simufur, and we all wish you a pleasant night.
Bye.